can hear me?
Yes, we can.
わかんない。
オードリーさん入られましたので、少し時間が早いんですけれども、記者会見の方を始めたいと思います。いいでしょうか。はい。オードリーさん、こんばんは。昨日はありがとうございました。
It's my pleasure.
ありがとうございます。福島の若者たちにとっても素晴らしい一日になったことと思います。本日は昨日の開催について、記者の皆さんとお話ししていただければと思います。
Okay, this video will also be recorded by my side because it's an interview, and I will publish this on my YouTube channel.
お願いします。では、まず最初に私からいくつか質問させていただきます。まず最初の質問です。昨日の唐鳳meets福島フューチャーズに参加してみたいと思ったのはなぜでしょうか？
I initially get the request on the Westlake website. It's a public website, and I get invitations from international people all the time. So I'll wait for you to translate.
Will not translate, so you just keep going.
Okay, I'll just keep going. Okay, right. And so I remember visiting Tokyo and also encountering in the supermarket parsimon from Fukushima. I told about this yesterday. And so I've always wanted to meet people in Fukushima, even though I have no prior visits. So when I see the invitation, I thought it's a really good chance.
昨日、福島の若者と交流しまして、どのような影響を持ちましたでしょうか？
I think the young people, they are very much well in tune with this format. They speak with a lot of ease and in a way that really encourages direct to the point responses. So that's very impressive. There was no or things like that. There's no anxiety that I could detect from the video conference. It looks very spontaneous and is, in my mind, one of the more smooth conversations I've had. Of course, that's also thanks to the interpreter.
では次の質問です。私たちは台湾と福島の交流を今後も続けていきたいと思っています。お互いの良さを生かして一緒に学んでいきたいと考えています。そのためのヒントを教えていただけますでしょうか？
I think web conferences such as this has the potential to reach a lot more people even after the fact because we will publish the recording. So my suggestion is to put the recording, as today's recording will be, into the Creative Commons so that people can add their own subtitles, they can remix, they can make their own journalism reports or their own interpretations and so on, so that this conversation is just a beginning of future conversations.
はい、ありがとうございました。では次に報道各社からの質問に移りたいと思います。今日参加しています4社の記者の方よりまず1問ずつ質問をいただきたいと思います。発言する者は順に私が指名させていただきます。質問する記者の方は署名と名前をおっしゃってから質問に移っていただきたいと思います。では、まず最初に NHK 福島放送局さんお願いします。
Hello, Audrey-san. This is Audrey Takasu from NHK Fukushima, and I'm here to make a report about the yesterday's meeting. And I have one question. So as you told us yesterday, your favorite quote is, "There's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in." But in your opinion, what do you think are the cracks, and what do you think the light for Fukushima, where the earthquake and nuclear disaster occurred 10 years ago? And based on your personal story, could you tell us why did you feel this empathy for his quote?
As I alluded to in the beginning of yesterday's conversation, Taiwan also suffers from earthquake all the time. When there is an earthquake that you feel it, chances are that we will also feel it in Taipei and the other way around too. We also had our September 21st large earthquake, which of course have a lot of help from Japanese friends. And so I think we are uniquely connected, not just culturally, but just from the firsthand experience of the restoration and revitalization efforts that's needed after a natural disaster. So I think that the light gets in is not just a metaphor. It's literally people who have felt similarly connecting through the internet or through tourism once tourism resumes and bring each other's new hope and new ideas and innovations to one another. So I think the crack is the natural disaster, and the light is the empathy between the peoples that had similar experiences.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
ありがとうございました。では次に、福島みゆさん、お願いします。
Hello, Audrey-san.
Hello.
I have a question. It has been 2 years since the earthquake and the nuclear accident, but how often is the news about the new earthquake and the nuclear accident in Taiwan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Taiwan, we continue to have public conversations about the future of energy, about how to be more resilient, and Fukushima often comes up in such conversations. So I would say that the Taiwanese people are still very much paying attention to the important issues that was raised by the experience in Fukushima and that we talked about in yesterday's conversation with the young people.
はい、よろしいでしょうか。
はい、ありがとうございます。
はい、ありがとうございました。
Thank you.
では次に福島民放さんお願いします。
はい。
Okay.
Hello, Audrey さん。福島民放の片沢と申します。
通訳の方入りますでしょうか。
はい、入ります。
お願いします。
じゃあ、質問に移らせていただきます。台湾では未だに、福島県食品の輸入規制が続いておりますが、規制緩和を少しでも、前進させるため、どんなアプローチ、情報発信が必要だとお考えでしょうか。
はい。Hi, Audrey-san. Unfortunately, Taiwan has been banning the import of agricultural products and seafood from Fukushima Prefecture. So it has been a serious problem for us to solve. And to overcome our stubborn bad reputation and to lift up the restrictions, what measures should we take? And what kind of information should be provided? We'd appreciate your ideas, advice.
Yeah, when I visited Tokyo, I've discovered that people in the supermarket, they make a special shelf for not just persimmons, but for agricultural products from Fukushima and nearby prefectures. I think this is an excellent way to communicate the current restoration process. So more tourism and also more visits, that will definitely help. From what I understand, before the pandemic, the people who visited Fukushima and stayed for multiple days, a large portion of them, a large percentage was from Taiwan. So evidently, the Taiwanese people are willing to travel to Fukushima and see for themselves how the restoration process is going on. Now, unfortunately, the COVID has put this ongoing gradual increase in tourism to a sudden stop from Taiwan, but we perfectly know for sure that this is still some place that people very much want to visit after the COVID. There's a lot of people that says they will visit Japan once COVID is over. So I think let's work on the vaccination schedules in both of our countries. And once that is done, let's resume tourism as fast as possible. And I personally would be very much willing to visit.
Thank you. ですね。Thank you very much for your advice, and I'm looking forward to visit our Fukushima prefecture. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
では次に、共同通信福島支局の高田さんお願いします。高田さんマスクを取ってお願いします。
すいません。1位ですけど、じゃあ行きます。Hello, Mr. Tang. はい。難しいね。I'm an editor, chief editorial desk for the Fukushima Bureau in Kyoto News. And I'd like to ask the question to the anniversary of the earthquake and the tsunami disaster will come soon in March, but Fukushima is still struggling for reconstruction. We face a lot of problems, and for example, severe population drain, especially youth population, is significantly decreasing, and the Fukushima local government is start to now focus on the increasing the immigration from the mega city in Japan, and not from the foreign country. And hypothetically speaking, if you were installed in the post of the Ministry of the Reconstruction, what would you do? What would you take? What kind of the measure you would take?
It's the first time I'm asked this hypothetical question. Often people ask me what I would do as the digital minister of Japan.
I hope you will be interested.
Yeah, but my answer, I'm sorry, but my answer is going to be the same because of the citizenship requirements. It's not actually possible for me to be both Taiwanese minister and Japanese minister. So I would not presume to say that I would do anything in particular in such a probably not going to happen hypothetical situation. But I will say that the Taiwan regional revitalization efforts, or in Mandarin 地方创生, is very much in debt of the Japanese regional revitalization projects. Our TESAS project is taken an inspiration from the RESAS and now VRESAS projects from the Japanese equivalent. So I think this whole idea of RESAS or TESAS is a accountable transparency. That is to say, everyone can see what's going on in actual fact in an evidence-based way, and that fosters inclusive participation because people who have new ideas don't have to wait until they get into the public sector. They can be in the social sector or in the business sector and still propose very useful designs for regional revitalization. So as I mentioned, the ideas of a transparent, accountable dashboard and an inclusive participation ethos, I think is essential in connecting the sectors together. But this is in my position as Taiwan's digital minister. I don't presume to say anything about me being in the Japanese cabinet.
Thank you very much. And you are the specialist on the IT, and maybe there, I guess that the technology, information technology will help the speeding up the reconstruction of the Fukushima. And do you think the digital transformation, digital IT, IT will help the reconstruction?
Yeah, IT connects machines to machines. That's essential in doing a lot of the work. But digital connects people to people. And the digital world we don't get the limitation from the physical world, so that, for example, I can see you very clearly and you can see me very clearly. We don't even have to wear a mask around each other through this web conference. And so I think my idea of digital is the technologies that adapts to people's need, that is closer to people instead of forcing people to adapt to technology. So it's a purely assistive role, and I'm sure that anyone who designs it with the people, not just for the people, can be more effective in digital transformation than any top-down central planning.
Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございました。次の質問に移る前に、今日参加している皆さんにお願いします。
Yes.
唐鳳meets福島フューチャーズのこの場では、年齢や性別や、それから階層に関係なく、オードリーさんとお呼びしています。
Yes, definitely. I mean, we are all part of this Homo sapiens human community, and we're just fellow human beings.
はい、では、よろしくお願いします。それでは、まだ時間がありますので、各社から、質問を自由に受けたいと思います。他に質問のある社は、手を挙げていただけますでしょうか。はい、では、NHK のガスさんお願いします。
So my second question is, you're often regarded as a symbol of diversity, and in your opinion, what do you think diversity can bring to the society? And do you think your answer could be a clue for Fukushima, where it's still keeping up the reconstruction process and many people have not returned due to the nuclear disaster?
Yes. When I talked about inclusive participation, I have in my mind like the very young people. In the traditional democratic processes, young people, especially very young ones, are not included in the democratic process. They have to be at least 18 years old to vote or to exercise any political rights. But in Taiwan, when we say citizen participation, we now focus specifically on the people who are younger than 18 years old. Even though they're not technically speaking voters, they are still participants in the democratic process. And I think because the young people, they are less burdened by what we call business as usual, or BAU, they could think about new ways that are unconstrained by the BAUs that define the previous ages. And in Taiwan's experience, they are also much more connected, internationally speaking, to the communities worldwide without getting trapped into one particular silo or one particular discipline of thinking. So they are global citizens, more of them are compared to the older people. So often to me, by saying we need to be maximally inclusive, I have specifically in my mind the young people and also the people considered important by the young people, even though that these people may not be part of your traditional representation in policy making.
Thank you very much.
はい、では、福島民友の方お願いします。
はい、オードリーさん。Please tell us what you need to nurture the next generation who will lead the future of Fukushima.
Yes, I think what I have answered in yesterday's conversation about the question about bullying applies here. I think the two very important things are the first, to like yourself, to be aware that this is a unique perspective into the world that nobody else has and is an important contribution to the societal conversation, not just about development or energy or policy, but about your own experience. This is very important. And the second thing is to make this a social object. That is to say, if there is any discrimination or if there's any misunderstanding or things like that, thanks to the contribution to professional journalists and also what we call here the civic media, that is to say the young people could themselves be their own media, they can communicate this perspective loud and clear with all the stakeholders and also internationally. And this will make sure that this agency, that is to say the perspective, is spoken with the perspective from the people instead of just for the people. And I think this is also important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
福島民歩さん、お願いします。
はい。じゃあ、すみません。日本語でからいきます。一昨年、オードリーさんが日本を訪れた際、福島県産万歩柿を食べて、激うまとツイッター上で発言したことが話題になりました。私たち県民としては、復興応援の目的だというふうに受け止めていますが、改めて発言の意図をお聞かせください。
Okay, our second question is, as you mentioned, so 2019, you visited Japan and you visited Tokyo and you ate the ampomaki, half-dried persimmons, and you tweeted Gekiuma, and it attracted much attention. And we interpreted your purpose as supporting our Fukushima prefecture. So once again, would you tell us why you did that tweet?
Yes. First of all, I think in the supermarket, I didn't specifically look for persimmons for the record, but it's there. And as I mentioned, I think it's a very nice design, not just a good thing for regional revitalization or highlighting the contribution from each prefecture, but it is such a tasty persimmon. I mean, I'm being very sincere in saying Gekiuma, this is not staged. I really think this is excellent. Of course, right after that, I went back to Taiwan and the persimmon farmers in Hsinchu and other places in Taiwan also sent me persimmons, and they also want me to say that those persimmons taste excellent too. Of course, that's true, right? So there's some friendly competition here. So I think my main motivation is to highlight not just to the Taiwanese people, but also to the Japanese people that such a design in the supermarket is a really good idea. And I really want to share this feeling of getting very tasty food with the friends on Twitter.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, you encouraged very much our agricultural farmers. Thank you very much. You enjoyed our persimmon again. You enjoyed
yes,
again.
Definitely.
はい、ありがとうございました。他にございますでしょうか。はい。では、申し訳ありません。私から一つお願いがあります、オードリーさんに。
Yes.
昨日の、イベントの開催までに、大学生のスタッフが、とても頑張ってくれました。でも、スタッフであったために、昨日、大好きなオードリーさんに質問することができませんでした。学生からの質問を一つ受けていただけますでしょうか。
Hello, Audrey-san.
Hello.
It's glad to see you. We are Fukushima University students. I'm Keishin Miyao, and
I'm Baiki Nagase.
we want to ask you a simple question. What do you want to do when you come to Japan next?
Well, I'm sure that I will have a face-to-face, not just through WebEx conversation of our experiences. And I really want to amplify this idea that Japan is not just looking for tourism, but for people-to-people connections, that we have seen a lot of eagerness from the Taiwanese people to visit Japan. And if I visit Japan, I will also convey this eagerness to the Japanese people.
when you come to Japan next time, we recommend you to do it.
Okay, definitely. I will definitely consider this. And I also look forward to visit for my first time because I've never been to Fukushima. I also look forward to be my first time there.
Thanks, Audrey-san.
Thank you.
Thank you.
はい、それでは最後の質問をさせていただきます。はい、オードリーさん、東日本大震災から10周年を迎えるにあたりまして、福島県の皆さんにメッセージをお願いします。
First of all, I thank you again for putting this activity together. I personally learned a lot, and thank you for getting the staff some time to ask questions. I specifically like the rainbow mask that they're putting on. I will probably share my translation of a poem. It's on audreyt.org as a prayer or a blessing to all of us, not just because we are talking about the restoration of Fukushima, but also about the eventual vaccination and the eventual, hopefully, end of the COVID pandemic worldwide. And so it's a very short poem, and I will read it in a way that's kind of fast, but it's on audreyt.org if you want the entire text. It goes like this. It's called Like a Larva Holding On for Transformation. It's by the poet Chen Yiwen. I translated it. I would like you to firmly resist your weakness. Like a chrysalis holding back a butterfly, a maple leaf resisting the autumn, a newly splashed droplet resisting breakup. I would like you to balance your inner beauty, like the structure of a snowflake, the four petal of a finger tree flower, a quatrain on a yellowed paper scroll, a still night, an empty spring mountain. I would like you to tolerate the secrets of a narcissus, forgive the twists of a moonlit river, look straight at the murky sky as rain falls down, just like listening to a naked prayer, like the ocean embracing the absolution of a storm. Then maybe you would be willing to walk through a declining border town, through a prosperous metropolis, see life, see death, see all the bustle and transience, dignity and cold lifelessness. Sometimes life is as quietly beautiful as a poem, as desolate as a vine, as intense as a soaring eagle, as lonely as a dust-covered steel. And so time passes, places alter, faces change. It has been a long journey. We return to the room we settled from. Origin and destination curl into a perfect ring. I shall recognize the look in your eyes after calibration. Clear, unswerving, like steel beads that do not rust, roundly in a dark room, reflecting pure light. Thank you. ありがとうございました。Live long and prosper.
ありがとうございました。私たちはオードリーさんとまたお会いできることをとても楽しみにしています。
Thank you. Until then, live long and prosper. Bye.
Long and prosper.